Welcome to the City of Tyler Studios for the Roses and Weeds podcast. We're here for Season 7, Episode 1, but not only is it the first episode of Season 7, it is our 100th total episode for the Roses and Weeds podcast.
Woo!
Okay.
Big celebration. And to celebrate, we're in a new space, and we're very excited. We have completely rebranded our podcast, so you'll see new logo, new beautiful studio, and we're very excited to have our special guest today. Payton, what are we going to talk about today?
Yes, so today we're going to dive in on all of the changes that are coming up for our utility customers and also talk about some of the things that we've already switched up around here. And with us today is Water Business Office Manager Chris Cambra.
Hello. How are y'all doing today?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yes,
The
thank you.
100th episode, I feel very special.
Yes.
We're super excited to talk to you today because there has been a lot going on. But first, give us some background on yourself, Chris. How long have you been with the Water Business Office?
So we're kind of getting on our 7th month over there. I took over the department in mid-May of 2025. And prior to that, I worked for the city attorney's office here for the city, working as a legal assistant. It's been a very busy 7 months.
Yes.
We've got a lot of stuff going on that is good for the customers of our city and our residents. So I'm excited for the changes that are coming, and I hope everybody else will be as well.
Yeah, the Water Business Office has been very popular in the past few years. We've heard a lot of feedback from our community about the things that are working and are not working. So talk a little bit about how that feedback has been coming in, the meetings that we had this past year, and what you've heard so far.
Yeah, so I came in on, I think it was meeting 4 out of 6 when I first started to be part of that. And a lot of the feedback had to do with our bill design and, of course, our rates and just in general, high water usage and so on. And, we do talk to a lot of our customers. We have a lot of customers that come into our office. And, I've personally met with, I would say at this point, we're probably in the hundreds now that have come in and have asked us to, hey, can you analyze my account? Can we go over the bills together? And I am more than happy to do that. And I think that I would say 98% of the customers that we do that with leave with a better understanding of what they're paying for. And if we find any errors, we will fix them. It's all about helping the community and being a good partner with the community. And that's what we do, and I encourage anybody out there that's listening to give us a call if you have any concern about anything about your bill or your usage, because, there's a lot of old meters in the city, and sometimes they start, working, not so well. So we need to go and replace them. And we will credit accounts as we need to. But we also like to educate the public too of what they're paying for and where that money goes, which is super important.
Right. And so for those who may not know, at the beginning of this year, we held meetings, kind of like a science fair style, in each city council district and invited people to come in. And like Chris mentioned, we had, different stations set up to answer questions. But really one thing that confuses people the most is that the water bill is not a water bill. It's actually a utility bill. So Chris,
Correct.
break it down for us.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what it is. So customers are actually paying for 4 services. They're paying for water. They're paying for wastewater, which is their sewer service. They're paying for drainage or stormwater. And then, of course, they're paying for their biweekly pickup of their trash. So that's really what comprises that bill. But and we can go into the redesign, but that was one of the things is, a customer opens up their bill and it's coming from Tyler Water Utilities. So immediately, they see that number and they're like, my goodness, I'm paying over $100 for water, but that's really not true. You're really paying for the 4 services. And if you really deep dive into the bill, you can see that most people's water bills are between $30 to $50 a month, which is about the average wherever you go in the state of Texas.
Right. And we're going to dive in more and a little bit later to the new bill, which kind of came about because of the public feedback we've been hearing.
Right.
But first, let's talk about some of the changes that have already happened this year. there's been a lot that's happened. But let's start with the phone callback system, Chris. Break
Sure.
it down for the people.
Yeah, well, and it was in the works when I took over, but when I really got my feet planted over there at the water business office, really the customer service or the customer experience part was really my main focus. I mean, we've got a lot of things that have been the same for probably decades, I would say, but the customer experience, and that's where I come from, working in the private sector for almost 20 years and then working here at the city. You're called to serve your customers, your residents, your people, and to make sure that they have a good experience. Yes, we are the only water department in the city of Tyler within, but that doesn't mean that you have to have a bad experience when you come to see us or call us on the phone, So queue times were very high, wait times were very high, and it was just something was really frustrating the citizens and the customers. So we implemented the callback feature, which most financial institutions have. You can keep your place in line, and what it'll do is it'll call you back 3 times within 15 minutes to connect you to one of our customer service representatives. So we have seen that queue go down, wait time from 35, 40 minutes down to about 5 now.
That is a crazy amount.
Yeah.
Of
That's
degrees.
awesome.
Yes.
But it's also too getting the right people in the right places in my department, right? People that can manage customers appropriately, speak to them with respect. That's when I first came in. That was part of what I did, was cleaning up that area to make sure we got the right people in the right places. So when you did get the call, you were answered by a friendly person that was not going to give you a hard time or maybe talk inappropriate to you rudely or stuff like that. That wasn't something I was going to tolerate. So. But yeah, and then the queue wait time. So there's a difference, right? So how long you wait before somebody picks up the phone, that's about 5 minutes now, down from like 40. And then there is a time on hold that has increased a little bit, but I see that as a positive. And the reason why is because we're actually taking the time to help our customers more, right? We're spending more time with them. We're listening to what they have to say, putting them on hold to ask myself or, Claudia, my assistant, to see, if there's anything we do with their account. Can we look into this? And I've given them the power to make decisions in that sense with our approval. Hey, I think we should do this for this customer, or I looked into this customer's account and it looks like their meter might be DNR, which means it does not register. I just wanted to put that out there. So can we credit their account, or can we get their meter replaced? Stuff like that. So we've given the CSRs the power to assess each situation and make informed decisions that is could be beneficial for the customer. So I think that's important. And I think with that number going up, that means we are taking more time with our customers as opposed to making it just an assembly line where you answer the phone. I'm sorry you have a leak. There's nothing I can do. Hang up the phone and let's move on to the next one. We're not doing that anymore. So
I love that. I think that people are starting to see the difference and experience the new, like, improved customer service. And part of that customer service too is not only the experience over the phone, but in person. So we've done amazing changes to the lobby and the water business office. So tell us about that.
So the first thing we did was more aesthetic. We did a renovation of the main lobby. So when you walk into the water business office, you're going to see new paint and new chairs. When I first took over, it just looked drab, really did. It looked like we had chairs that came from a bus station from the 1970s. I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to be funny, but the first impression that a customer sees when they walk through that door, it's super important to me, and it's super important to say, if we don't take care of our lobby, then how are we going to take care of our customers? Do we do it in that same kind of level? So I think, putting paint on the walls, chair rails, and just improving the overall look of the lobby when you walk in. It's brighter in there now. We fixed light bulbs that have probably been out for 5-10 years. and then of course, the top thing we did over there was we did put in a coffee bar. So that was something that I think is super important. Where we do offer bottled water as well, just in case, if they have to wait for a little bit, they can drink water or they can have a coffee while they wait. So I think that, and then we do have new screens as well. We're constantly putting through tips on how to save water, how to look for leaks, just informative stuff, if the office is going to close for something or it just changes. We try to go ahead and get that out there. We have a weather crawler as well, that gives the 5-day forecast. And it's like, why we're not weather, but it's important because, if you're watering your grass and it's going to rain for the next 5 days, you're wasting money, honestly. Mm-hmm. It's going to save you money to look at that crawler and say, okay, there's rain in the forecast. Let's go ahead and maybe shut the sprinkler system off for a week.
Mm-hmm. Right. Cold weather's coming up.
Cold weather's coming.
Wrap up the pipes.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So the other thing we did too, it was at our cashier windows, we did add a two-way communication system. So I know in some places you go, where they have the thick glass, it's a microphone and speaker system. Mm-hmm. We did install that too in our cashier windows because we did have a few hard of hearing customers, but it has actually worked for everybody because we can communicate better. The glass is thick, so it's hard to speak through that glass. Mm-hmm. And instead of misunderstanding customers or not hearing them and having to raise our voices, which it's not intentional, but it's just it's a byproduct of having that situation. So it has worked really well in communicating better with our customers who are at our windows face to face. So it's those are the main changes that we've done out in the lobby, and I think it's been noticed. We've heard a lot of feedback, positive feedback of the changes. But that was the first step, and I think that was super important to do that, just to show our customers that we care. That when you come into our house, we're taking care of the house, which means we're going to take care of you at the same level that we're taking care of our lobby. So that was super important.
Yes. Yeah. All right, and so thank you, Chris, for sharing about those changes, and we're going to talk about the new bill design, new payment provider, and a new customer portal coming up. But first, a quick break.
Parking at Tyler Pound is pure harmony. Just a few steps and you're inside the terminal.
At Tyler Pounds, getting through TSA is like nailing an 8 count. Quick, smooth, and right on beat.
With larger overhead bins, there's plenty of space for our carry-on snares.
Welcome back to this episode of Roses and Weeds. We're talking all about the changes happening for our utility customers. And one thing that you will be seeing very soon is a new utility bill design. However, the process for how that started is very interesting because it was feedback from somebody just like you. And Adriana, you actually got to sit in on the meeting where we heard some input on ways we can improve. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this was a meeting earlier this year, and it was before the community meetings that we had with in the different districts. We had this one customer. He was upset about his bill, and he did not think it was reflecting his actual usage. He had a specific circumstance where he wasn't in the house for a period, and he still was seeing a lot of water usage. And we were like, okay, come in. We're going to sit down with multiple people from the department, and we're going to drill in into what's going on. And we figured out his specific issue, but he also showed his frustration with, listen, I don't even understand your bill. I don't know what you're charging me for. These words mean nothing to me. And it just looks like you said before, Chris, that I'm paying $200 for water when it's not. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, okay, so you as a user that doesn't have the in-depth knowledge that we have, what would you change and what would make the bill easier to read for you? And we went line by line on that bill, and he gave us some great input, and we used that feedback to create like a mock-up bill that we then brought to all the district meetings and got feedback from the rest of the people. We kept tweaking here and there, and now you're going to see this bill in January. So tell us about that, Chris.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. And first coming into the water business office, it was, there was a lot of things happening all at once. So, but you go into those community meetings and seeing that first mock-up of that bill, it was promising to move in that direction, because customers should have clarity when it comes to what they're paying for. It's the same with your credit card bill, your electric bill. You'll know exactly what you are using and what you're paying for. And And you're right, Adriana. I mean, it's very cryptic.
Yes.
That's the word I like to use, is cryptic. We have codes that sometimes even people in the city probably don't even know what they mean.
Yeah, right.
A good example is the SW automated res, which
Yes.
is solid waste automated residential. If you have your decoder ring at home, that's what that means.
Which I just learned that this year, by the way.
Right.
I've been here for 8 years.
Yes. So, it's not about maliciously being cryptic, but it's just something that's been in place for decades that, we're glad that we got that feedback from the customer, because that has pushed this to what we're going to be releasing soon, and we're in the final testing stages. But yeah, this new bill, and we've even tweaked it more than what customers saw at the community meetings. We've added separate buckets when it came to, and I say buckets, but like sections where, you're going to see what your base rate for your water is, and then your consumption is going to be on another line. The same with your wastewater. SW automated res is going to be called trash, because that's exactly what it is. It's your trash pickup, So we've made things simpler. The terms are simpler, and we have the way we separate it. Each section is going to have a total. So you kind of know, okay, my water is costing me X amount of dollars this month. The wastewater is this. And then any other additional charges, customers can do bulky pickup item requests, which would be added to the bill. It's not something we regularly charge, but it's something that can be requested. And then at the very bottom is going to be the grand total. So you can see each individual cost and then see your grand total at the very bottom. So you know what you're paying for and what it consists of. And then, of course, the big thing that we added was the descriptions on the back.
Yes.
And when I first started sitting with our CSRs that were at the call center, they were reading the explanation of the bill we currently have on our website. And I don't even think they understood what they were saying to the customer, because the customer would ask them, like, what does that mean? And I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's not the answer you want to give to a customer. If you're a customer service representative, it's like, I have no idea what that means. So we have simplification on the back as well. So we are explaining that, your base rate, this is what it is. This is what it consists of, your consumption, and it explains all of that in simple terms that everyone can understand, which I think is super important. And it's part of that customer service piece. So, we're being fully transparent. You know exactly what you're paying for, what it consists of, and how it's separated out. So we hope that will alleviate a lot of the confusion, and will give customers a better understanding of how what makes up their utility bill. You know, and that was the big thing of the redesign, was calling it a utility bill at the very top, and in parentheses putting the services that are included in that utility bill.
And I want to reiterate that it is 4 separate services that you're getting.
That's
It's
correct.
water, wastewater, storm drain or drainage, and trash. And if you have recycling, that's also included
Would be
there.
added to it, yes.
Any special services that you have, like you said, bulky pickup, it's also part of that.
Correct.
So that $140 bill suddenly is not that expensive when you're talking about all these services.
Right. When you break it down into each individual service, and if you put that service solo, you're like, okay, it's really not that expensive. It's just the combination of all of those charges, and, we do have a big operation here in the city of Tyler in order to bring that clean drinking water to your tap, and making sure that what we're putting back out is clean into the environment. It's super important. And we're monitored by the state, and, to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
I want to clarify too, and Chris, you can talk more about this. Your base rate, the consumption rate, all this money that comes as a revenue to us, how do we use that?
So, okay, yeah. So Tyler Water Utilities is a franchise. So what that means is, yes, the city does own Tyler Water Utilities, but we are self-sustaining. So what that means is we do not, or we cannot legally use tax money for the operations of the utility department, right? It's I think it's in the Constitution, actually, and it's in a lot of local code that we can't use tax money. Tax money that customers pay for their property and sales tax goes to, and if they were part of the budget meetings that we had at the start of our fiscal year, right before our fiscal year, It goes mainly to public safety, you know, to make sure the streets are in good shape, but none of it actually comes to the water side. And what customers pay for is, of course, the operation of the department, but as well, that money goes to all of the projects that are being done throughout the city. One is, of course, the consent decree that everybody's aware of, you know, where we're replacing all of the sewer lines and everything like that. That's the big project. But it's also the maintenance and the upkeep of our wastewater and water treatment plants. It's all of those things as well. All of those projects that make the system better, to maintain the system, and to keep it running smoothly for decades. That's where all of the money goes to. It doesn't go to anything else.
Yeah, and I also want to point out that like our system is very old.
Yes.
Correct.
The city of Tyler has been here for, was it like 200, almost 250
To
years?
say we can just look right up there, 1846. Thank you to our wonderful new pictures.
Yes. So the system is very old, and with old systems comes problems, comes having to update them.
That's correct.
And that's where that money goes. It does not go anywhere else. There is no excess of revenue that is wasted.
Correct.
We actually sometimes struggle, and that's why projects sometimes take longer than we would want to, is because there's not enough revenue
You're
to
limited.
to
Correct.
update these things.
Right.
Yeah.
And cities don't make profit. We're not allowed to make profit. We're allowed to break even, basically.
Yeah.
That's what we're told, you know. So the revenue that we bring in goes to those things, you know. And we'll add that, you know, the city of Tyler purchased Tyler Water Utilities in 1916, so over 100 years ago. So that, you know, there was a water system in place before we purchased it. So that goes to show you how long it's been in the system. So you have to constantly keep it maintained. I mean, what was it at the council meeting, I think, when they talked about the sewer lines? If you stretched them all out, it would go from here to Atlanta, Georgia, or
Yes,
something like
yes.
that. So you could just imagine the mileage that we have to maintain, and the upkeep and the cost associated with those things. And materials they're also increasing.
Right.
You
Yes.
know? So that cost increases over the years too. You can't pay the same that you did in 2000 that you're paying now in 2025,
yeah.
because those things increase. So
Right. Going back to the new bill design, though, I do want to highlight that there were more changes and that there will be a different bill for landlords that
Correct.
they will be able to receive, and businesses after you receive feedback from community members in those areas. Talk to us about that.
yeah, so we did get a really good feedback from landlords and property managers, and it's in development. It's not going to come out at the same time as the regular bill, but shortly after, we're looking to release that. We're just kind of working out the technical kinks in the background of how to pull that information. But yeah, for property owners currently, or landlords, they're receiving an individual bill for every property that they own. So if it is a property manager that owns multiple houses, I mean, apartment complexes, they're slightly different, but really, you know, if it's one account for one location, you know, they would get just the one bill. But sometimes we have developers or property managers that own multiple housing units, and their individual addresses, different locations, so they get an individual bill. So, you know, we've had property management companies come in and have to pay 50 bills at one time.
Oh my goodness.
And that can take up to
One
an
by
hour.
one, yeah.
One by one. It has to be done one by one currently. And it's very tedious on them and our customer service rep. And you can just imagine that's one window that's going to be held up for 1 hour. So customers that are in line, now you're down to 2 cashiers. And, you know, to try to get that line moving and get people in and out, that does put a little damper on things. So having the landlord property manager bill, it's kind of going to be an abbreviated bill. It's going to, what we're thinking is, you know, the account number, the address, the usage, and the costs, just as like one line item. And so it won't take as much paper, as well as it's just a very simplistic overview for the property manager to kind of see, okay, here's my 20 properties, this is what I owe the city, and how they pass that on to the tenants, you know. So they're just going to deal with one document as opposed to 55 documents.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that'll be a big time saver. You know, and we'll talk more about our new payment provider, but that will be intertwined with that as well to make things easier for when they're actually paying for them as well, as opposed to just having the bill.
So when do we think the people are going to start seeing these bills in their mail?
So currently for the new residential bill, or the bill that's currently distributed, we don't print our bills here in the city of Tyler. We have a third party that does it in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and then mails it to the customers. They're in the testing stages of it right now. So we sent our final designs over, I want to say it was about 1 or 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And they have to program it, because what they'll do is we send a billing file to them and they have to pull the data, and we need to make sure that it falls into the right places and it's adding correctly, because the last thing we want to do is release a bill and it be incorrect. We want to be right the first time, So once that comes back, we actually will start testing it out with, we have what they call a sandbox. We can kind of mess around in our system and have, fake accounts that we can play with to test those types of things, where we don't have to mess with real customers' accounts, and if everything looks good, then we will start rolling that bill out. We're projecting early January. The thing is too is, we have 4 billing cycles, so a customer may not see a new bill until their second billing cycle, right? So if we don't start until cycle 3, cycle 1 and 2 may still see the old bill, but the next time they get billed, they'll see the new redesign. So it's all going to be based on when we bill it out. Once we've finally approved it and it's tested and it's good, because we don't want to release it until it's perfect, because it needs to be perfect.
Right.
So, but hopefully January, February.
Yeah, by the first quarter, definitely within the first quarter of the new year, we're definitely going to be there at that point. So, for sure.
We love that. I hope that when people get it, they're excited. And if you have feedback about it, tell us. This is not anything that's set in stone. We can still tweak it if there's any major feedback or confusion. So
we've done that with the disconnection notice, which we changed wording around and put more information on it that customers were kind of unsure of. That they would come into our office and state that, well, I didn't know this, and I was like, okay, we need to put that on that. So it's easily changed. If we do need to tweak it further, but as the customers get it, they should understand that this was from them. That's super important, that they made real change. And I think that's something that's important as a resident of the city, that, you can make things happen if you just, pick up the phone, send an email, contact us. If there's something we can do to make things better, we're always open for that, because I don't have all the answers, and I don't think anybody in my department does. And really, you listen to your customers. And they'll give you the good feedback that you need.
And one thing that we haven't really talked about, but to remind people, everybody's usage of water is so different. And so that's why a lot of times Adriana and I will jump on social media to try and get people's information. We can't offer a direct solution, because Chris and his team have to do some research and figure out what could be going on. And so, not discouraging you from posting social media, but want to encourage you to reach out to the Water Business Office if you do have any questions, because they will be able to determine a lot more, and you will too, very soon. And we're going to talk about that coming up in our next segment.
The historic Liberty Theater has been entertaining audiences for generations. Inside these walls, entertainment leaps from the screen to the stage. Music performances stir your soul and inspire you to get out of your seat. Come lose yourself in the magic of Liberty Hall.
Well, welcome back to Roses and Weeds. We are here with Chris Cambra with the Water Business Office, and we're talking all things about your utility bill, not your water bill, your utility bill. So now let's talk more about the online parts of all this. So people are going to start seeing new online features, new payment features. What is going on?
So part of the ongoing changes, to the customer experience is a new payment provider. The one we currently have does what it's supposed to do. It takes your payment, but we needed to find one that was, more robust in the sense of notifications, different payment options, more payment options, those types of things, easier to use. So we ended up going with Invoice Cloud. That's our new payment provider. And they are going to have a lot more options when it comes to payments. All right. So in your online experience, part of it, it's going to be, there'll be more payment options available. Of course, you can use your Apple Pay, Google Pay. I believe you can use PayPal as well.
Wow.
In addition to your regular credit cards, your Visa, MasterCard, debit cards, all of that stuff as well. Customers can still pay as guests if they want to, but if they do sign up, it gives them more options in the sense of notifications. They can sign up for notifications. We're going to have 3 notifications for customers. Everybody will get the first one, which alerts them of their new bill. Currently, we have one email that comes from 2 different sources, and it's very confusing to customers. And, one just gives them the total bill that's due, and then the other email has a PDF that they can access via password. This will eliminate both of those and just have one email to the customer, which is going to make things less confusing. Because that was one of the things that we heard the most from customers, like, well, I have email notifications, but I have no way of looking at my bill and what I'm paying for. Or I get a copy of my bill, but then it's password protected and I have such a problem signing into it, those types of things. So this new payment provider will allow just the one email with your bill attached. So I highly encourage, when we pull the trigger and start this new service to, sign up for a username and password. That is going to be one of the, speed bumps is you do have to sign up for this new system.
Yes.
But once you've done that, it's going to make things much easier. So everybody will get that first notification. If you miss your due date, it will send out another notification to you, something that's currently not happening right now.
Yeah, we don't do that.
I was going to
Correct.
say.
And then if you're at the point where you're about to get disconnected, which I hope nobody will be, you will get a third notification reminding you, but it'll also include a payment link that you can click on.
Oh, that's great.
So, and the good thing about this provider is these links that they send, normally when you get a link, you have to click on it and then you have to sign in to whatever you're clicking on, right? These are pre-authenticated links. So what that means is you can click on it, it will take you right to the payment page. So you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, I forgot my username and password, I forgot my account number. All of that is already pre-tied into your account. So when you click on it, it's going to be much easier. Not only email though, but we can do text as well. We did have a lot of customers that would ask us to take payments over the phone, and that's something that we're actually not allowed to do. And part of it is because of the fraud aspect, right? We you call in and we can verify you via the account, but if we don't have that physical card in place, it's hard to really determine if
Is that your card?
is that your
Right.
card? Is it a stolen number? I'm not saying that happens. It doesn't, but we want to make sure that we're doing everything correctly, and we want to safeguard our customers.
Right.
That's really super important when it comes to that. So what we can do with this new payment provider is if you do call in, and let's say, we always encourage you to use our IVR system, which I'll touch upon here in a minute. But let's say the IVR is down or you don't have the time. Hey, I really need to make a payment. Can you take payment on the phone? I can't. I'm sorry. But what I can send you is a payment link to your text or email. And it's the same situation with the reminders, right? We can send it to you. It pops up on your phone. You click on the link and it goes right to the payment page and you just make the payment. You won't have to remember, because if you're driving or you're out and about and you don't recognize or you don't remember your username or password, you can just click on that link and make that payment, And then I touched upon the IVR. That's our interactive voice response system. So that is our pay by phone. It's an automated system. Currently, it's very antiquated. It can take a customer anywhere between 5 to 9 minutes to make a payment, which to me is way too long in 2025.
It's very annoying.
Way too long. So, and you have to have your account number to make the payment on our current system, which If you pay your electric bill, you don't have to do that, or any other utility bill.
Who knows that at the top of their head?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the scenario is, if you don't know it, you have to then connect to us in the call center to get your account number, and then we have to send you back. So here's the thing, you call, you don't remember your account number, you get in the queue. It could take another 5 minutes for us to answer the phone because we have other customers. You get your account number, and then we still have to send you back to the IVR system to go ahead and
start
get
over.
that payment.
Yeah.
So why I highly encourage customers to sign up for this new payment provider is, when you do that and you call our IVR system, one, it's going to remember your payment options that you have saved in your
That's
account.
nice.
Number one. Number two, it's going to recognize you by the phone number you have on your account. So if you call from that number, instead of having to have your account number, it's going to remember you via your cell phone. And the other thing is, it's going to greet you by your first name, which we don't have right now. So
Yeah.
that's going to be super big. And I think that's just another aspect of the customer experience that we're trying to enhance or improve, for our residents, for our customers. It's super important to make things easier for customers. It shouldn't take them longer to make a payment. It should be less time to make a payment, when it comes to those things.
I like to compare it to like when you call the pharmacy and you're using your cell phone and they're like, "Oh, is this Adriana?"
Right.
It is. Okay, this is the what you have to pick up. So it'd be the same. It'd be like, "Oh, is this Adriana? This is your balance. Do you want to pay it now?"
Correct. And that's the thing. It will take the 5 to 9 minute experience down to less than a minute. The very first time will be a long experience because you do have to set up all of those parameters, right? But once you've done that, it will, like you said, Adriana, is like, "Hey, Adriana, you have your utility bill is $120. Do you want to pay with your account ending in 5362? You just say yes, and boom, it's done. You're all set, ready to go.
Beautiful.
The same thing with the text message payments too. So once you get into that, once you make your first payment on the new system, you can go ahead and sign up for text to pay, just like any other notification. And it will text you when your bill is due, and it'll say, Adriana, your bill is due. Text you, do you want to pay in payment option 3652? You just answer yes to the text message, and it will process your payment, and then, give you your receipt or text you back saying, you're complete. Here's your confirmation. Those types of things. So we're just trying to make the experience easier for our customers when they're online, or on the phone, and they want to make those payments as well.
And also, we forgot to talk about earlier the expanded in-person payment options that
Correct.
came about recently.
Yeah. So with this new payment provider as well in our office. So if you do come to our office, we have new payment processors. So, the card readers. Currently we had the old-fashioned swipe ones. That you used to see on the side of a cash register at the mall in
Don't even take the chip.
2000, right? You could just swipe it, and that was it. At least we're not the old-fashioned swipe the paper type of thing. We've come up a little bit from there, but these new payment processors can now do mobile wallets, chip payment, tap to pay. You can still swipe if you prefer, or if your card allows you to, right? Although I don't see many cards nowadays that don't have a chip in it, at least.
Yeah, and they'll
for
tell
that
you,
added
"Please
protection.
put the chip. Don't swipe." Yeah.
So, there's 4 different ways to pay. You can, tap to pay the chip. You can use your mobile wallet, which that was a lot of feedback we heard from our customers in the office.
Yes.
Like, how come I can't pay with my Apple Wallet? It's 2025.
Yes.
You're right, 100%. Why can't you? That's a good question. So these new terminals will be able to manage all of that, which is going to be a huge improvement for the customers that still like to come into our office and see us, And cash, you still pay in cash as well.
Or check.
That's not changing. Check's not changing. But if, you're going to pay by electronic means, you definitely have more options now, which is, I think, great.
And if you can't make it to the office between 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, then we have where you can pay at, CVS, Walmart. Talk about those.
So for our cash paying customers, right? Yeah. So the lobby's open 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. But, we expanded it earlier this year where you can pay at Walmart's and Walgreens, Dollar Generals, all of those places. And the process isn't hard to do. And the Walmart side, you just go to the associate and say that you want to do Walmart bill pay. It's really, really important you do that because they do offer other payment options, like MoneyGram and all of that. But if you do Walmart Bill Pay, it's the next business day. It could be faster, but we're telling our customers by the next business day we'll post. If you use any of those other options, it could take 3 to 5 business days to pay. So your account won't be credited, when it comes to that. But yeah, we've opened up all of those options for cash preferred customers, where they want to pay with cash and more convenient, right? You go to Walmart multiple times a week. You're doing your grocery shopping or Christmas shopping or any kind of shopping. And at the same time, you can go to the counter and make your payment in cash to the
one less stop.
And that's one less stop you have to make, less gas you have to use, and so on. And it's just, those are things that as I've gone over the months, it's like, how can we make the experience better? And let's open up every option that we can to help our customers, And of course, we have our drive-up kiosk that does take payments. It does take cards, and it does take checks as well. For cash, it doesn't give change, unfortunately, but you have those other options where you can pay in cash. So really, you have the option to pay 24/7, 365. It doesn't matter if we're closed. If something happens, God forbid, if we have another pandemic or something, you're always able to pay your bill, and you don't have to worry about getting out of the house or
getting disconnected or
Correct.
missing your One option that we haven't talked about that I think is the most common nowadays, at least in my household, which is AutoPay. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so there'll be a better AutoPay features with this new payment provider. So again, you'll sign up for if you ever do your first payment and you pay as a guest, it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to make a profile? But at the same time, it's going to ask you to give those options of, like, do you want to do text to pay? Do you want to do AutoPay? AutoPay, you can schedule your payment. Currently, it's a little tough, right? So if you do AutoPay now and you don't pick the right date, there is a chance that the payment's not going to go through. We have customers that have called us, and we found that issue that you've got to set it for either the due date or right before the due date. But if you miss it, it's going to cycle back through. And that's another reason we left, or we're moving to this new payment provider, because the options are much more flexible for our customers. You can do partial payments online. You can do full payments. You can actually overpay too, which is something you couldn't do before, where you can overpay your account. So if you want to just have credits on your account, because there's a lot of customers that do that. They want to pay in advance. They might be going on vacation or something like that, and they just want to make sure that the money's there, so when the bill comes out, it just automatically takes it off, And then the same thing with drafting. It's that same situation. It's 2 days before, though, instead of the 5 that we currently have. But it's going to save us a lot of manual labor in the office as well.
Yes, talk about that, because when you told me about this, I was flabbergasted.
Yeah, so currently customers, if they want to do bank draft, they have to fill out a form on our website, and then somebody has to manually enter into the system. And then when we send the file to be done for the bank drafts, it's a manual process. We have to go into each individual account, and we're talking hundreds of accounts.
Every single month.
Every single time, yeah. Every single week, because it's cycles.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there's 4 cycles in a month. Yeah. So if you're drafted in one, that's 1 week, and so on and so forth. This will automate the process with this new payment provider. So you just give that bank information. The other thing, too, is, again, and coming from the legal background that I come from, it's all about making sure that customers' information is protected, right? I mean, the city has robust security. I'm not saying that's not the case, but I would feel more confident putting it in a website that I know is going to have the compliance and the PCI compliance, as opposed to it being handled by multiple people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right? I'm not trying to scare anybody. We're good. We do it we've been doing it for years. There's been no issues, for decades. Yeah. So, but eliminating more people seeing information or touching information is more protective to the customer. And I think that's super important.
And also gives your staff their time back to then help those people that have extra necessities, like
just
extra
like
questions.
Just like we talked about at the beginning, we can handle those calls and handle that volume of questions, because we're not doing the menial tasks that we currently have to do on a manual basis. A lot of stuff is going to be automated, so we can focus on the customer experience, which is the most important thing.
Right. There is a very important note, though, for people who prefer to use AutoPay. is that everyone is going to have to re-enroll, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Everybody will have to re-enroll, just like everybody will have to get a new username and password. It'll just be a one-time thing, of course, unless you want to go back and change it later, bank accounts and stuff like that. But yes, that's going to be the speed bump. It's going to cause a little bit of pain, and we understand that. But in the end, these investments and changes that we're making are for the betterment of the customer experience. So I hope that they see that, the little pain they had to do will make the experience better in the long run.
And re-enrolling in AutoPay, it won't be how it is currently, where you have to fill out that long form and wait for the office to confirm that it worked and all this.
Correct.
It will just be automatic. and
Correct.
easy.
Yeah, the payment provider has things in the background that will verify routing numbers to ensure that, it's you entered in something incorrectly, right? Currently, we just take your word for it. If that's the right routing number and your bank account number, then we're putting it in the system. And if it comes back return, it's because I put something incorrectly. You gave it to us incorrectly.
Right.
Yeah.
This pre-checks it. So it's going to check to make sure the routing number is actually tied into the bank that you say, or it's not invalid. You know what I mean? And the account gets verified prior to. That's all done by the payment provider on the cloud. And, the city has nothing to do with that in a sense, which is good.
Quick.
And it's quick. Yeah. It'll tell you immediately when you submit it. It's going to say that routing number is incorrect, or it's not valid, or what have you. So I think it's going to be good.
And now there's something that many people probably don't know is that we actually cover the cost for online payments that, the service fee. Is that something that will be continuing?
Yes. Yeah. So many cities, especially in the state of Texas, will charge what they call a convenience fee. Counties or cities, if you pay by credit card, they will charge you an additional 1.3, 2%, whatever, to cover the cost of the transaction. The city of Tyler has always absorbed that cost with our old payment provider and even this new payment provider. We are absorbing that cost. So the customer is not going to have to pay anything more than what they're paying for their bill. That also goes to say with the bill redesign as well. There is an increased cost to make this new bill and redesign it, but the city is going to eat that cost because it's the right thing to do. We're helping our customers understand what they're paying for. So we're more than happy to absorb that cost and not pass it to the customers like other cities do. So,
And let's talk about now something that we hear every single time a bill comes and people don't understand what they're paying for. And they're like, I just want to know my usage. So I know we're going to have a new customer portal. And that's probably the part that I'm the most excited about, having an online place where you can see everything about your account.
Yes, and this is going to bring us into the future, really, honestly. And I think, if we can make this happen, and we're working through the details right now, contracts and stuff like that, and, technical stuff that happens in the background. So, yeah, if we can make this happen, a utility customer portal is going to be the tool that really will hand the power back to the customer. And I think that's really important when it comes to that customer experience. So a utility customer portal is basically a one-stop shop, right? So we have a new payment provider. You currently log in, but with this new portal, that login, which will be the same if you sign up for a payment provider, it's a single sign-on. So you won't have to recreate another username and password if you already have one. But you sign on to it, you can access the payment provider through this portal. You can access all of your bills, right? Any new bill will go there. You can also see your usage in near real time. I'm not going to say real time because it's not. It's updated every 4 hours. This is going to eliminate so much issues for our customers because currently they really have to wait until their next bill comes out to see what their usage is.
Right.
This is going to eliminate that. I think, if they're concerned about something, they can go ahead and sign into their account, and then they can pull up their usage that had been updated 4 hours ago. And I think right then and there, if there is a problem, they're going to be able to see it and act on it quicker. Right.
Well, wait, isn't there also a feature that will send them a notice if there's like a potential leak?
That's correct. Yeah. Part of these portals is notification. So and we set the parameters in the city. So if we're seeing something that is an absorbent amount of usage, so if you use 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 gallons a month, but the system sees that all of a sudden you have a spike of 15,000 gallons, it's going to notify you to let you know you may have a potential leak. And the system will walk you through a couple steps of how to check on that, right? So sometimes we have customers that unfortunately leave their sprinkler systems on, or they don't adjust it for weather or what have you, right? Or the power went out and it reset their schedule. So that's one of the steps, right? Another step to be, hey, let's look at your toilet, make sure that the flapper is not wearing out, because that's one of the most insidious leaks that you can have, right? If you have a leaky toilet, sometimes you can hear it run. But if it's a very, very small leak or the flapper inside the tank is starting to wear out, it's so insidious that you don't even know it's happening. And
that adds up so quick.
yes, I have seen numbers anywhere from 9,000 to 200,000 gallons of water in a month. In a month. It just from that flapper. And, the manufacturer suggests you replace it once a year, but who does that? Nobody does that.
I didn't even know that.
Right. Exactly. You only do it when you know you have a problem, right? And then just also different ways, let's look under your sink. Is there any kind of drips? Did you see any water pooling anywhere? Are your washing machine connections, are they tight? Those kind of things. If you go through all of that and it's like, it's not this, it's not this, not this, then it will tell you, give us a call, contact us. And the good thing about these portals is you can contact us directly through the portal. So you can always call us. I mean, we're always here to answer the phone, and we're happy to do that. But you can actually go ahead and send in service requests through this portal. So if you think you have a leak, if you think maybe your meter's not working correctly, also included is solid waste stuff, right? So if you have a bulky item you want picked up, these are the service requests that you can do throughout this portal, and you can also track it. So to me, transparency is super important, especially in government. And I think that having something where a customer can go and see the status of their, request or ticket or what have you, it puts a lot more accountability on the city. And I think that's important. I think that we need to be accountable to our citizens, to our customers. And it gives more power to them so they can see what they're using. If they have a question, it's something that can be handled faster as opposed to waiting 32 days for your next bill to come over. And then you find out you have a problem, right? Then the investigation starts. So now you're 45 days in, the bill is still racking up. You may have a leak, you may have a bad meter, but trying to get ahead of that is will help customers save money or find problems quicker, And
it will also allow the water service team and your team to see what's going on with an account and not have to, reach out to each other and get some answers. In some situations, I know you've shared that that's happened where a customer calls in wanting to know the status of a new meter, and then you've got to check with the water service center team and find out what they're up to, where it's at on their queue log. And so it's definitely bridges the gap in communication between departments. Our water service center, which is located in a different location within the city, it's not in the same building as the
Not even
business
close.
office. Not even close.
It's not close at
miles away.
Yeah.
So it gives us the option to view and see where things are at as well. So it helps us communicate better with the customer, because the customer is always going to call us first. Sometimes they do call the service center directly, but they're going to call us first to see what the status is.
Right.
So if everything works out like it's going to with this UCP, the utility customer portal, I think it's going to give customers so much power to manage their account, self-service their account. And if they have questions, and again, it goes back to the payment provider, it allows us to get our time back and really help our customers with the major issues that we can do. A lot of things are going to be automated through that system. So new accounts, transfers, you're not going to have to wait for CSR to manage that, right? They're able to open accounts, unless you had account previous. It should open an account for you. It will send us all the information. You can upload the documents that are required directly through this portal. So you're not having to wait for the human element of it, right? We may need to review it if it flags it, but other than that, it should be easier to get a water count situated. And then that will roll our trucks faster to get you turned on faster and so on,
Another great feature that I think people are going to be very excited about we get complaints about, oh, you didn't tell me my water was going to be off because we're doing repairs or whatever. With this portal, when you sign up, you are opt-in to receive notifications about water issues in your area.
And strictly that, which is important.
Yes.
Customers now use the rave alerts, and it's a great tool, but it's a tool that's used for emergencies, severe weather, but water breaks as well, or water issues. The problem is it's sent to the whole city, right? And if you're not affected by it, it's the same thing with, weather warnings, right? You tend to
Ignore
not
it.
pay attention to
Yeah.
it, right? So this portal will allow us to pinpoint certain situations or certain areas, so we can notify just those customers that are affected as opposed to the whole city. So we can draw a polygon around a neighborhood and alert just the customers within that area as opposed to having to alert the whole city.
And the bigger issue that we have is that if you don't know to sign up for our emergency alerts,
Correct.
you will never get this notification.
That's correct.
Right.
Where this, as you have an account, you will get notified.
You get opted in automatically,
Yeah.
and it's up to you to opt out if you don't want to receive them.
Yeah, which you
which
should.
You
'cause-
should receive them. Yes, you should get them. You
It'll
should get
tell
them.
you about when you will have no water pressure.
Well, and then customers will call us because they're not aware, right? And then it's like, did you shut off my water or disconnect it? Like, I thought I paid my bill. And then we find out that there was a massive break and it's affecting that neighborhood. But,
Yeah.
as we're alerted from the service center, then we can tell our customers as they're calling in. But it's just another tool to get the word out to the customer and let them know that, okay, you're affected by this water break. It's not your account. It's because we have a major issue that we need to fix,
Hey, I just realized we forgot to talk about a new feature the payment provider will have as well for our landlords, businesses. What can they be looking forward to?
Yeah, so we did talk about the landlord bill, right? But yes, if a property manager or landlord signs up for an account through the payment provider, they can actually link all of their accounts into one place. We mentioned going to one bill and only paying off one bill, but you're right. We were supposed to talk about this, and I forget about that. If you're a landlord or property manager, you can link all of your accounts under one username, and you can pay all of your bills. And it's really like a shopping experience, right? So you can put them all in a cart, right, and pay for them all at once. So it'll save you the trip downtown to come see us, or mailing costs to mail out multiple checks or what have you. But yeah, you can pay online all at one time. So you won't have to worry about having multiple username and passwords or having to make individual payments. The other thing too that I forgot to mention too was the developers, right? So developers now, when they're developing new properties, if they want meters and taps, they have to come to our office to pay for them in person.
That's right.
They can get their
There's
they
no
get their
other
permit.
way.
There's no other way.
That was shocking when I learned that.
They can get their permits online, but they still have to pay for their meters and taps in person, which is antiquated in my view. So with this new payment provider, we are able now to, and it's going to be in a secondary phase as we roll out, we're going to allow developers the option to pay for meters and taps online. And it'll be just like the property managers and landlords. It will be add to cart, and check out and pay for it, So that will save, again, developers who don't have the time to come to the office downtown, especially if they're developing something on the far side of the city, to waste their time to have to come. We're going to make things more convenient to them too, our business partners and so on.
The theme is 21st century.
Yes.
It is customer
Yes.
experience.
More convenience, more
Convenience.
options.
It is transparency. This is all amazing changes. And in the vein of
Much
that, in the vein of all that, we have a new website where you can learn all about all these changes. So like if today was too much, because it was a lot, we covered a lot.
It's true.
There will be a new website that will break all of this down. Payton, tell us
Yes.
about that.
So you can go to mytylertexas.com, and there you will be able to look at all the details for the new bill design, new payment provider, future customer portal, as well as some other little things we've got cooking on the stove right now for our utility customers. And we really appreciate all of you for your feedback
Yes.
and your input, because you really did make these changes happen. And we hope you know that.
And on that website, it will give you updates of things. You can sign up to get updates on a newsletter. So
Yes.
So if there's any major issues or major improvements that we're making, you'll be notified immediately. And there's also a comment section on the bottom where you can submit your questions, your feedback, and one of us will respond to you directly.
Yes.
And so we're all about telling you exactly what's happening, when it's happening, and giving you all the information so that, like you said before, we give the power back to you. And
That's super important.
yes.
Absolutely.
So Chris, thank you for
Thanks for
being
having
here.
me. Thank you for
Yes.
having me. And I'm so happy to be in the new space and being on the 100th episode.
That's
I
right.
feel honored, like I said at the beginning. So
Well, we're
appreciate
so
it.
happy that you are over the Water Business Office now and all the changes that you're making. I think people are going to start seeing that difference. And maybe a year from now, we're just never going to get any complaints about anything.
I don't think you'll ever do that, but
I know.
But at least we're trying to help the customer have a better experience overall. And again, if there's anything like you mentioned, contact us, call us. We're available. We will meet with you in person. Come to the office if you want to have a meeting with me. I will meet with people, and I've
Yes.
I've met with hundreds of people.
I was going to say, I think we've
We've all met with customers.
yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
And if we need a meeting with all three of us and need to brainstorm,
That's it.
We
We'll
got
do
it.
Absolutely.
come to the
Absolutely.
podcast too.
For sure. Thank you very much.
Thank
you
you.
so much, Chris.
So thank you for our listeners and people watching this video. If you have questions or suggestions for other podcast episodes, please email us at publicrelations.com or follow us and comment on all our social media pages. We are everywhere except for TikTok. And thank you.
And Twitter or X.
Yes.
And also public relations at tylertexas.com is
Yes.
that email.
Yes. Sorry. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.